folks. That is the Hulk. Yeah, looking good. Let's set this aside here. Hey everybody, Steve here, the retired hobby tech guy. And today we're going to be talking about some settings for some supports because I'm doing some bigger stuff, so I want to fine tune everything into easy support removal. So I know I've done some videos on this in the past, but I've changed my settings in regards to the print layer height. So there needs to be a little bit of adjustment, I think, with the layers and top Z distance and things like that. So we're going to do an overhang support test on the Creality K2 Plus. We're going to do some changes, and we're going to go over some of this stuff with my buddy the Hulk here. And let's get a closer look. I want to show you what I'm talking about. When I printed this out, of course I sliced it here, so I had the torso, the head was separate. But then when I put this onto the build plate, this area, as you can see, is not perfectly flat. So I tried to get the surface, the bottom of this that had the most surface area, and then the rest was filled up with supports. Well, the problem with that, as you can see there, is getting rid of those supports was just fugly. And even to the point of where, right up there, it ends up by taking off the supports. It was hard and it left a hole in the bottom. Now, I'm not too concerned about this because this is obviously going to, marry up and you're not going to be able to see that. But the problem is that removing the supports was such a pain, and I want to minimize the amount of marring, and I want to make the support removal a little bit easier, especially when I'm doing something like the big Hulk here. And eventually I want to make this guy like 5 or 6 feet tall. I think that would be so cool. Could you imagine this being like 5 feet tall? Yeah, that's what I want to do. So yeah, Hulk agrees. So let's go ahead and we'll set this aside and I'll show you what we're talking about. Well, I guess we could just put him here. And I'll show you what we're talking about. Talking about the top Z distance, we're talking about the support object XY distance and some other stuff. So let's just jump right in. So here we have our Creality print. Dun, dun, dun. Imagine that. And this little overhang test is, and actually comes from Uncle Jesse. I think he posted it on Cults 3D or Printables or one of the two, maybe both. And so when you do your supports, you'll be able to see how it supports on these different areas, kind of like when it comes there, when it comes down to, flat overhangs, 90 degrees, obviously, you want to minimize that as much as possible. Now, I did emboss these with some information. So, for example, what I'm using here for the layers is 0.16. And then the top Z distance, what I ended up doing is going down to, let's go down to the supports. We're using Tree Auto, Tree Slim, a threshold angle, as we can see over here on the right, of 30. And then on the build plate only, and we go down here to where it says top Z distance, and I put 0.265, and that's where it actually pops up. Come on, focus. Where it says this determines the Z gap between the top support interface and the object. So in other words, you're going to build up your supports. Then you're going to have your interface layer or layers, depending on how many you pick. And then you're going to have your model again, and it's going to print off of that. So depending on that distance can determine how easy or hard it is to take off those supports. Bottom Z distance is 0.2, which I'm leaving that stock. And then when we go down here to support/object XY distance, put that as a recommendation from a guy named Gary, and this controls the XY separation between an object and its support. And he suggested a 0.6. He does a lot of big prints. I mean, like human-sized, real life-size prints on stuff like this. I think the Hulk would be awesome. So, he's going to be doing, he recommended that. And so I set it to that, and what we ended up doing is slicing this, and we also have a small one there as well. And what we can end up seeing is this is going to take about 28 minutes to do. It costs about 27 cents, which isn't bad. And we've got a larger model and we've got a smaller model over here. And let's just zoom into the larger model, if I can do so. And if we start looking at the layers, obviously you're going to have your support layers, you're going to have your base, and it is going to go up. Got that little gyroid infill going. And then as it continues up, we come up here, and this is where we start getting that interface layer. That is the interface layer, the stuff that's in blue there. So that is really small. And then as we continue up, let me see if I can move this over here so we can get a real good view. As we continue up, and then we get over to this right here, now we've got our other interface layer, which ends up, that is going to be pretty interesting. So we'll see how that works out. And then as this continues on, it'll finish up and we'll see how the supports go. Matter of fact, this just finished printing out. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this guy aside. I'm going to go run and get the plate because it just finished printing. So I guess we can leave the hope here. Actually, crash burn, the joys of live video. And if you hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, the plate is still warm. It's almost like a plate full of cookies fresh off of the oven. So another thing I think we'll end up doing, let's go ahead and we'll turn the lights on, like so. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at this. So let's just go ahead and take a look, and we can see there's our model. Now, of course, this is all going to wash out and because it's really, really bright. I wonder if I could change that. I bet you I can. Hold on a second. No, not that one. I want that camera. Image adjustments. And, oh, the brightness is down as low as it'll go. Contrast, maybe that'll work. Yeah, wow. Maybe I won't be able to change that. Let me try one more thing. Because this is really, really washed out. So let's see if we can take this down a bit. Temperature, saturation, tint, gamma, which I think that's as good as we're going to get right there. So let's take a look and see if we can see a little bit better on this. Maybe not. There it is, maybe. So what we'll end up doing here is let's just take this apart and off. And we will take a look and see how this works. So as far as our support removal, so we can see that was almost, man, that is really washed out. That is horribly washed out. Seriously. Is there any way we can change this? Man, it's almost, I guess it's the overhead light. It's just too bright. Maybe this will be better. Yeah, it's a little better. But as you can see on this one here, it's already starting to come off. And so that was super easy. And then let's take a look at this right here. And take a look at this. And see how this pops off. Okay, that's not too bad. And then this. See, there's a connection right there, and that's not a good thing. So how about this one here? That came out nice. That came out nice indeed. Indeedy. And then that one's not bad. And as far as we can take a look at the bottom of that, the surface areas of those, that's not too bad. So I think that could be acceptable. So we'll see how that goes. So that one came out pretty good. Now we've got our real tiny one. But the problem is where it connects up to that part right there. I need to find the setting for that. But like this one here, let's go ahead. That just basically peeled off. Let's try that. Ooh, that was nice. And you can see the condition there, which is not bad at all. So that turned out good. This one we had a little bit of problems with. On this one, you can see we got some problems on that piece right there. So interesting. So we had a little bit of sagging on that. So I don't know, our next test print, I think what we'll end up doing is trying to look at some settings and see if we can get something a little bit better than that. I'm using Creality White Hyper PLA. And so with that, let's go back to prepare. And if we go back to our objects here, we got tree, slim, auto, and the threshold angle is, I think it was 25. Let's set that, go back to the default of 25 because I think that'll end up being whose slope is below this threshold. So anything is 25 degrees or below will get supports. Okay. Only create support for critical regions, including sharp tail, cantilever, blah, blah, blah. Remove small overhangs that need no supports. That possibly need no supports. I don't know about that. Let's see, raft, first layer density, first layer expansion, top Z distance. Now, some people have said that you take your your layer line height, which is mine is 0.16, which would be end up right there 0.32. So, and if you do that, that is what your distance should be. So 0.32, we'll try that. Bottom Z distance is the same. Support object XY distance. Before that was 0.35. And that is the XY separation between an object and its support. Let's try, I don't know, that guy Gary does such good work. I'm going to go ahead and leave that. But then I want the distance from, like the spacing away from the support from the model itself. Because like we saw, we ended up, we had that one piece that was right there that had that little connection point of the tree support. So I need to find out what that is. So let's see, we've got that overhang, raft, first layer density, expansion, top Z, base pattern, support wall loops normal, spacing pattern, interface layers 1, bottom interface layers 2, minimum support contact area, which is, what is that? Interface pattern, I'm not worried about that. Normal support expansion, first layer gap, that is the same. Support distance priority, max bridge length 10, tree supports, branch angle, base pattern tree. That's interesting. I got to find out how to do that. So anyway, yeah, that's what we got going on. Just kind of working with the different layers of and doing these supports. So it's strange that on the larger support or overhang test, we had some good results, but on the smaller one, we had that problem with the overhang and that drooping, the sagging, but on this one we didn't. So that is kind of odd. I'm wondering, we've got a little bit, a tiny bit there. I don't know if y'all can see that, if this thing will focus. But you can see a little bit of that overhang there on that piece. Boy, this thing just doesn't want to cooperate with focusing, does it? Seriously? Seriously? Okay, well, anyway, there's a little bit of problem there. But really, when we're looking at the supports, like on the Hulk model, I'm not too concerned about that, but I am concerned about the support of the tree support going and interfering and touching the model. So I'm wondering if we go to tree support default and what things change, top Z distance. Okay, let's slice the plate and see what that looks like. And, okay. Oh, that's interesting. So, let's take a look at this and show you what I'm saying. So we went back, and what we ended up doing is taking this, and we went to tree auto support default. And again, we went top Z distance is 0.32, blah, 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 0.6 for the subject or support / object XY distance. And then when we slice the plate with those settings, we zoom in here, we've got good separation there. We have good separation there. And same thing, we've got a good amount of separation there, and we've got good separation there. So I wonder what the problem was. And here on the smaller one, we still got a little bit of separation there. So yeah, I'm not sure what the deal was on that, but we'll run through this and do it again and see how the settings work on this as well. Let's see, some other things I ended up doing. Distance, blah, 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 height, depth. Okay, and then this one, we're gonna depth. I just wanted to change that a little bit because it was a little high up. Ooh, it is high up, look at that. Depth down. Oh no, that's not what we want. Wonder. No. Why is that hovering in space? I'm not sure. Join cut, modifier, advanced, style normal. No, I don't want that. Too small and large for height, okay. But why is it height? I don't know. Let's see, we'll just get rid of that. And we've got that there. So we still know that our, I guess we could end up putting in the text on there. And with the tree support, tree slim, wait a second, this pops up. It says we have added an experimental style tree slim, features smaller support volume but weaker strength. We recommend using it with 0 interface layers, 0 top distance, 2 walls. Let us try that. And that changed the top Z distance to 0, and over here on the right, top interface layer to 0, and support object XY, that's left the same. So, interesting. Yeah, top Z distance is 0. So let's change that. Top Z distance 0. Okay. And what was the other one? Interface is 0. So I'm wondering if we can put another embossment on here. So top Z 0 and what was that, support interface? I forgot. Tree, top Z distance, top interface layers, that was it. So top interface, I'll just put IF 0. Okay, and then we can end up doing, I really hate this window. I really don't like it the way Creality did this. And we want to make this, because it gets in the way of everything, and oh, I guess you can move it. Cool. What are the odds? And we will move this. And let's put some spaces in here. Oops. And we'll move this around a little bit. And I think we can get what we want. And then on this one, maybe we can make this a little bit bigger. And I think, but why is that raised up? It's still raised up. Why? Why? I wonder. Oh, I know why. It's setting on top of where this plane of the top of these is at. Oh, okay. So top Z, so a way to do this, top Z and IF is 0. So we'll just set both of those on that one there. So setting that other one as the work plane, that's why it was raised up. Okay. So now, let's go back to home and zoom in. And we'll go over these real quick. Top Z, tree slim, 25%. Top Z distance is going to be 0. Top interface layer will be 0. And that recommended support object XY distance will be 0.6. So what we'll end up doing is we'll slice this plate up and we will put the plate back on and we'll run this again and come back in a future video and see how it works out. So yeah, that's what we got going on. So anyway, if you've got any tips, tricks, or settings, again, the layer height that I'm going to be using, like I printed out with the Hulk, is 0.16, and going to do bigger Hulks. Like I said, I want to do like a 5-foot tall Hulk. We'll see how that goes. But getting those supports away from the model, is something that maybe we should go back and check that. So let's just get this out of the way. And let's see, yeah, we've got separation there. I don't know. Look at that. Looks like we've got a little bit of connection there. That is not what we want. And we have it on the other one. And it seems to have it on there too. So if you know how to get that distance from the support from the model, put that in the comment section down below, and I would really appreciate that, to figure out how we can move that out so it doesn't touch. Interesting. And it should be under support. So we're under support. Tree Slim Auto, on build plate only, support in critical region only, remove small overhangs. Raft, we're not worried about. Support raft base default. Oh, that's setting the filament for that. First layer, distance, base pattern spacing, which is, let's see, what does that end up being? No, that's not it. Minimum support contact area, which is, what would this be? Interface pattern default. Top interface spacing, which is the spacing of interface line. 0 means solid surface. Parameter, okay, so 0.5. Normal support expansion. I don't think we need to worry about that. Support object first layer gap, which is XY separation from an object and its support at the first layer. Let's see if we can change that. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So over here, we've got this 0.2, support object first layer gap. And we will set that to 0. Let's try 4, just to see what happens. And we'll reslice this. And now we still have that, hitting that. So that doesn't do it. So let's get rid of that. Support distance priority. That shouldn't make a difference, I don't think. Support tree support distance. The setting determines the distance between neighboring tree support nodes. Tree support branch diameter. Branch angle. Pattern tree default. Oops. Yeah, I'm just clueless. I'm not sure why that would be touching on those. And like I said, we're getting a little bit of touching there on those 2 layers. Okay. Anyway, that's what we got going on. I decided, I guess we'll have to do some more tests and see how that goes. That'll be kind of an interesting little thing. But today's workout day. Today is legs and shoulders, so I'm going to be go and doing that for a couple of hours. We'll come back, and later I'll do another live stream, and we'll pull another plate and see how it works out. And also, I'm testing out on the build plate, trying out some hairspray. Some people say use the glue stick, and for smaller pieces, especially real small parts and pieces, having problem with adhesion, even though I did the calibration for all of the parts and everything. Yeah, so I'm going to try the hairspray thing, and actually this was the first print that I did the hairspray thing. and it adhered pretty well. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Most of the time I don't even run it. I just clean the build plate and we're good to go. So that's what we got going on. Like, subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that, so that you could stay tuned for the next video. Okay. All right. And if you're smarter than me, which there's a damn good chance that you probably are, and you know about this stuff and how to get the support distance away from the model, shoot me an email, put it in the comments, and I'll check that. And I would much appreciate that as well. All right. That being said, we'll let you go, and I got to do what I got to do, and you all do what you got to do, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.